Hi there. Thanks for joining CPG Bytes, a series of short video segments from Treasure Data, where we chat about the latest news and industry trends and read between the lines to provide our perspective and insights. So David, my friend, what do you have for us this week?
Hey, Stephen, greetings from Washington, D.C., the nation's capital.
All right.
Hey, we've talked a lot about direct to consumer and how important it is for CPG companies to kind of embrace that and make that part of their digital transformation. So I actually got three stories today. There's a lot of articles and news stories around DTC in the past few weeks. I thought we'd talk about three different little stories here, if that's okay with you.
That sounds wonderful. I love stories.
So this first one is from Kellogg's, and I think that title right there kind of says it all, right? They're pushing into DTC with Cheez-It because, quote, data is gold. And so, you and I talked about this in the past, that, direct to consumer for a CPG manufacturer in many cases is not really just about the revenue, right? It's about another channel of engagement. And what Jordan Narducci, who's the global director of direct-to-consumer e-commerce at Kellogg's, talks about how important the data that they're collecting is to drive understanding of shoppers, understanding of consumers, to have understanding from an innovation perspective. There's a quote here that I thought was wonderful. They said, the best focus group you could ever get is people actually going out and paying for something, right? Because they're coming to your site and actually buying something. The other thing I think it's kind of important here is last November, I had the opportunity to talk to Brittany Williams from Kellogg's as part of a fireside chat. We talked a little bit about DTC, and her point was that you have to provide something else besides just the products you get in traditional retail, right? Either some kind of unique product or value pack or variety pack. And that's exactly what Cheez-It is doing. You kind of see in the picture there, they're offering merchandise like a Cheez-It fanny pack, but they're also offering different variety packs that you can't get in traditional retail. So it avoids that channel conflict with a retailer, which I think is really, really important. Something special and unique that you can only get on that website. Kind of speaking of that special and unique, the other thing I wanted to talk about, the next one is around what Beam Suntory is doing with a direct-to-consumer membership program. Now, there's complexities to D2C, but there's, amplified, if you will, in the alcoholic beverage space, right? But what's interesting here is that they're offering, unique products, but also sort of exclusive opportunities, different events, different activities that only members of the program can join. And, Danica Konetsky, Treasure Data's industry principal CPG, always talks about this notion of reciprocal value, right? If you're going to be asking consumers for information about themselves, that first-party data, you need to give them something in return, right? There has to be value. And you shouldn't necessarily think of value just being a price discount, right? You come to the website to give you a discount, that's the value. In this case, Beam's thinking about value much more broadly than that, right? It's about this exclusive membership, being able to get unique products, being able to participate in unique tasting events and different events. And so that's really, I think, an important part about thinking outside the box, if you will, in terms of what value you can provide to the end consumer. And, thinking about outside the box, the last story I'd like to talk about is PepsiCo. And, everyone's kind of talked about over the last year, PepsiCo getting into DTC through snacks.com, and they launched it in 30 days, and that wonderful, wonderful story. But what I think is really interesting about what they're doing is they're not just selling, their traditional snacks products themselves. They are doing like Kellogg's is doing, having unique variety packs, unique flavors, so that provides some differentiation. But the other thing they're doing is they're thinking about the fact that maybe it's not just snacks. It could be merchandise. It could be hats. It could be clothing items. And what's interesting that they found during their holiday period, and this is what really surprised me, their merchandise, right, their clothing products, those kinds of things, those outsold their other brands. Like that was the biggest component of their sales. In fact, it was 26% of their sales during that holiday period. So, it's again this idea of, you don't really think of necessarily as PepsiCo and Frito and those brands as being a merchandise company, but clearly there's people that are passionate about their brands, that they're loyalists and they're enthusiastic about it, and they want to show that at brand enthusiasm through merchandise, right? And what a great way to drive that engagement and sort of get that free advertising, if you will, of people walking around with PepsiCo brands plastered on their clothing. So, you know, hats off to them for kind of thinking outside the box and just using that website as a way of rapidly and with agility engaging with consumers and making changes. They also talked in this article about how rapidly they changed the pack size because of the fact that that was what consumers were asking for. So you're basically responding in almost real time to the consumer's needs.
Oh, those are some really interesting points, because I think, you know, you and I talked about at the beginning of the pandemic that people are starting to shop more online, and that, you know, the CPG brands are turning to direct to consumers as a sales channel. But now, as you look at the evolution a year and a half later, these are not just mere sales channels anymore. These are value add channels, right? These are things that you cannot get at a typical a retailer like a Target or Walmart. These are stuff that you can only get from these specific DTC experiences that consumers are able to take advantage of. This wouldn't have happened a year and a half ago if you just go to any of the major stores around you. These companies are thinking very innovatively to come up with a solution or a product offering that's over and beyond what they usually do in traditional big shops, big stores that you can find in your neighborhood.
That's exactly right. I mean, I think you said a word there that is really important, Stephen, the experience, right? And I can think it goes a little bit back to the Beam Suntory thing of it's not just about the online experience, it's the offline experience of these events. So I think it's just really interesting. I think it's fascinating how creatively these CPG companies are being, you know, one other point I'd like to make on that Kellogg's example, if I flip back to it, is I think sometimes people think about it being only the new sort of, you know, sort of challenger brands or born in the web brands that are doing DTC. But, you know, Cheez-It is a very large, mature brand. And for them to be able to pivot and kind of drive this level of innovation, I think that just speaks volumes about the potential of direct to consumer.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's absolutely true. And you know, I think if you haven't checked out your most favorite brands at their DTC websites yet, you definitely should be doing that now. And well, thank you, David, for the insights today, and thank you for joining us. For more videos like this, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell for all future videos. And we'll be back in 2 more weeks with topics for CPG Bytes. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, bye-bye.